Okay, we made it.
Hey, everyone.
A smidge late. I had to randomly fix my camera again because half the time StreamYard hates it when I come in with my camera these days. I have no idea why. Mostly because it's stupid because my camera's amazing. So, here are you, StreamYards. Yeah.
It's okay.
Nick, Mike, how's it going?
Okay.
Happy Monday.
Rob, how are you?
Chat.
Happy Monday.
So, I saw Carla. Carla was first as always. I called her Carla the Omnipotent. She is everywhere. So
she really is.
If
there's like a stream in the retro community, she is there supporting it. Carla is amazing.
And she does it. She's at work also. There's actually she and I were watching the same stream all week last week. And we were both at work. But I think that I just happened to be able to sneak away last week, but I think she's able to sneak away a lot of days and a lot of weeks. So she's very supportive.
She might just actually throw it on while she's working and have some earbuds or something so she can occasionally pop in and type. I know I do that sometimes. I don't do it as much at work because it's harder to watch things I find it annoying to watch things on my phone. When I'm sitting here working at home, I can do it a little more often. But we've got Scepter Sever in here, PJ Smith, 1968 Camaro. GoGameGo's in here, or was in here. I don't know if they're still here.
He's in here. He said watching Police Squad on Blu-ray. That's what I'm talking about.
Cerebral Paul's in here. What's up, Paul? Good to see you, man.
What's up, Paul? Well, you know why? Because I put this in the...
Yeah, I saw that. I must be like the last person on the planet invited into that whole...
But you had to pass. You had to pass the test.
I had to what? What test? I've been part of this whole thing for like a year.
I've been trying to get people on the Discord, and half the people don't like the Discord, half the people do. So I'm like, you know what? If everybody wants to use a Twitter DM to talk within the guild, let's just invite everybody to it. So that's all.
So we got all sorts of people here. Let's start with what people did over the weekend. Rob, what did you do?
The wife and I, because we didn't have any kids this weekend, we took a little date trip to Santa Cruz.
Ooh,
nice.
So that was fun. And so we didn't really have a plan other than go to the beach. And then she had looked up a couple of video game shops in the area that we can check out. And randomly, while we were checking out the second video game shop, which happened to be in a mall, there was also a toy convention going on in that same mall. So we're like, well, let's just go there. It'll be like a weird, unexpected adventure. And I didn't bring what I sent you a picture of what I picked up. I picked up the Baxter Stockman Splinter.
Yeah, dude.
NECA pack.
I almost stopped collecting those because NECA started one kind of ticking me off with their distribution and their online ordering. Matter of fact, I need to send you. I need to see if I need to find it first because I've got two of the Metalhead figure.
Yeah, you were talking about that. Yeah.
And I don't need two of them, but I found one in the store and bought it. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll just cancel my pre-order. And they're like, oh, we can't do that. I'm like, what are you talking about? You haven't processed it. It's been sitting here for months. It doesn't say it's about ready to ship. What are you talking about? You can't cancel it. So that almost ended me buying anything from NECA just because of what I consider shady business practices with their online model and their crappy distribution network getting nothing, nowhere. Yet somehow people always have them, which cheeses me off.
So we did that, and we did walk around the beach. I haven't been to Santa Cruz in like 30 years. It was fun walking around the beach, seeing little sights, and there's a cool little town right next to Santa Cruz that we spent most of our time called Carlatola or something like that. And had a lot of fun. Ate some really, really, really good fish tacos, and then drove 3 hours back. So
love fish tacos.
I love fish tacos too. And we had to find a couple different places until we found one that actually had battered fish tacos, which I prefer to the grilled ones.
I would prefer that as well. I never found a good place around here to do fish tacos, but then I'm in Colorado, so there's very few places I trust fish from, and the ones that I do trust don't really have fish tacos on the menu. They have like a bunch of other dishes.
You're not really surrounded by water.
No, yeah, it was the perfect place to eat fish tacos there because we were actually literally right on the beach. And there was like seagulls like hungrily watching us eat.
Of course they were.
So
we have good fish. We have good fish out here in Maryland. Now we make our own. So we get a tempura like batter, and we'll dice them. We'll get fillets. We'll dice them up, and fry them.
Worth the drive, Carla.
Oh yeah. So.
Honestly, Scepter, I've gotten some pretty good seafood out here, but the places have it sourced in usually pretty early, so you pay a little bit more than you would in, like, say, Maryland or Boston or other places that are near water to actually get seafood. There used to be a place called Fish City Grill out here that had amazing seafood. And unfortunately, it was in kind of a corner of the mall and shut down because not enough people frequented it. We just happened to find it on a whim, me and a buddy one day, and we were like, oh my God, we're coming here like at least once a month, if not more. So, Mike, what'd you do?
So let's see. On Friday, after services, Peter and I attempted to play Gran Turismo 7, but you can't play it multiplayer until you run about 4 hours of the single player racing. So we ended up playing Wolfenstein again. Wolfenstein Youngblood, which we really like, and I think we've almost got it beaten.
I've had a hard time getting into the new Wolfenstein series. One of them wouldn't run for me, and the other one, that whole submarine section on the second one kind of just ruined my experience with the game. I think I made it through it, but it just sort of tainted the rest of the game. I was not happy with that map. That
was a tough map, but
I hate
afterwards,
that map.
The end of the second one is insane. So we did that on Saturday. It was a busy day. Did some scouting for food with Seth in the morning, soccer in the afternoon. I got roped into being a soccer coach. And then that evening, Saturday evening, I actually went to a buddy's house with Jacob, my oldest, to do some tabletop gaming.
Nice.
Played a game called Mansions of Madness, which is wild. Really great kind of role-playing kind of tabletop game. So then Sunday did some Gran Turismo 7. Last night did some more to grind to get the multiplayer unlocked, and here we are.
Yeah, I saw a bit of the Gran Turismo 7. I don't think it looks better than Forza, but I think it might look almost as good as Forza. Everybody was saying it looked like garbage next to Forza, and I'm like, I don't think it looks like garbage.
I don't think it looks like
about
garbage.
The same.
Not at all. It is there, and where Forza really focuses on the racing pieces, Gran Turismo is all about the cars, and like you could spend hours just going through the car museums and stuff like that. I mean, it really focuses. It slows down on learning about the cars and what, stuff like that. It's a great game, and I must be the only one on the planet who is actually using the DualSense as a motion control steering wheel. Like,
yeah, I happen to see Pete in there like going blah.
He's like black. I'm like, no, it actually, like, it legitimately works better than I thought. It's a gimmick. I'll turn it on for a couple races and I'll go back to doing what everybody else does. Left stick turn. And the more I ran with it, I'm like, oh my God, it is dead on accurate. So that's how I play it. That's how I'm playing it.
I may pick that one up. I've never been big on racing games in general, and I never even played a Gran Turismo. And I've always shied away from it, particularly because of the fact that if I'm not going to really enjoy arcade racers that much, am I really going to enjoy like a racing simulator? Because it's a lot more nuanced than
it is, and
like
it's
Forza.
It's
done that by design.
Mm-hmm. It's circuit racing, which is what it is. It's track racing, not open world. So you have to. It is something you have to get a taste for.
Yeah.
Forza Motorsport, when it comes out, I mean, it's going to be on Game Pass, so you'll get a chance to try it. Forza Motorsport was the.
I still got to boot up.
The
Forza Horizons or whatever it is. I still got to boot that up.
Horizon is just straight up fun. Like, it's just fun. And
see, Paul's roommate likes the DualSense steering too, so you're not alone there.
Good, because it really is something different, and I like it. So that's what I've been doing. And then here we are.
Yeah, that was my question, PJ. There's a Wacky Racers game?
Yeah, it start on. There's actually a
oh
couple,
my
but
God, I
the
streamed
one
it.
he's probably referring to is the one on the NES that it stars Pug. Pug is his name Pugsling, the dog. The
Muttley.
Yeah, Muttley. It's
Muttley.
Muttley.
Thank you.
Yes, Muttley.
PJ. Kaboom.
There you go.
I actually not to totally turn this into a ad for my channel, but I streamed this like 3 weeks ago.
I watched you do that too.
That was a lot of fun. I am going to
Sonny
do that
make a
again.
plastic wheel for the DualSense. Jan was in here a little while ago. I don't know if he's still in here. He was
He's
asking
still in
something
here.
about
I have a
pre-orders.
popcorn edition. I need to go to popcorn rehab.
Yeah.
So, and I need to share this with people, is what I'm being told. I need to share my snacks. Carla said I need to share my snacks.
What's up, Zombie?
Zombie! What's up, Zombie?
So, what I spent my weekend doing this weekend was, other than playing a ton of Horizon Zero Dawn, which I can't seem to be able to put down now that I finally started to get my brain around how to play that stupid game, was to start to kind of film my Optimus Prime. I bought a really, really overly expensive toy. Spoiler alert on the review, unless you're
It's
like
awesome.
a really super big fan.
It's the one I'm thinking of, right?
And you have a lot of disposable income, don't buy it. It's way too much money. And it is the one you're thinking of. It's the one that walks and talks, and you can control it with your phone. And yeah.
I want to see. I can't wait for this video.
If right now I put everything together and it's almost like 30 minutes of me just playing around with different voice commands and then doing a few things on the floor as far as moving it around, having it walk around through the phone app, and like moving the car mode around through the phone app. I need to get better shot. I want to get some nice B-roll shots of it in robot mode and in car mode. Maybe actually get some use out of my gimbal and kind of go around the whole figure to kind of do a 360 kind of thing on it and pan up and down on the actual figure. I did some size comparisons. It's a monstrous figure.
It looks pretty big.
You know,
I love it.
I know, Mike. I know Rob's seen pictures of it, but you know that big Omega Supreme that I have that's like almost 2 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that tall. He's about that much shy of being as tall as he is. So he's about 4 inches shy. He is literally, I want to say he's like 19 inches tall.
Does it talk? Does it have
Oh, it talks.
Colin's voice?
Oh yeah, it absolutely has Colin's voice. That's actually one of the reasons I bought it, because I wasn't going to buy it, and I wasn't going to buy it. And I'm like, this is stupid. I shouldn't buy this. It's cool. I don't need it. And then I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, one, there's not going to be that many of them, so it's going to be really collectible. Two, given Peter Cullen's age, this might be the last damn thing he voices. And I kind of want it for those two reasons alone.
So, who made this thing?
It's Robertson.
Got
Roberson?
it. I'm looking. I'm okay. I guess
I can get the link on like.
I got
actually,
the link.
I can pull it
No,
up.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah. It's absolutely stupidly bonkers. It serves no practical purpose. But I spent 2 days filming it, and I literally broke down and just had to give myself a moment because I kept giggling at the lunacy of what I spent money wise, and B, what it did and how much fun I had with it.
Oh my!
I told you it was stupid. I did not say it was a responsible purchase, sir.
No, I cannot disagree with you. My wife would throw me out of the house. I would be divorced.
Mine was actually gonna do that as my Christmas, and then it wasn't coming out until like April or close to. It wasn't gonna make it like before Christmas.
Shit.
So I just saved up some money for it, and then we had like our income tax return and bonuses come in. So I spent some of that money just to go ahead and make sure I did the payment.
Rob, I'm dropping this in the chat. Rob, you got to see this.
Yeah, when I saw when I saw that ad, I was like, oh, Nick's seen this. Send him the link, and I'm like, because if anyone's gonna buy this, it's gonna be him, and I'm not gonna buy it, but I want it. So I will live vicariously through him and see if I can. I was even like, "Are you sure? You know what?" Because you and I were talking when I sent you the link. You're like, "Yeah, I really want it, but that's I don't know if I." Are you sure? You don't know when you're not gonna. You don't want to pass that opportunity up. Twisting your arm a little bit, and then later on the day, you're like, "Oh yeah."
I've got to see this video.
Even Panda was like going, I can't believe you just bought this thing. But literally, it's a robot. Like it's like a real like straight up robot that does voice commands and all sorts of stuff. So and you can even program it if you want. You can set up like different features. I haven't spent the time to sit down and do that because I was busy trying to get good clean shots of it.
And 27 servo motors.
Yeah.
God.
It's absolutely a ridiculous toy. I make no bones about it. I don't really defend it in any way. I just wanted it.
And as you should not. I mean,
hey, Axel.
Wow. Wow.
I don't have much on it right now, man. I will pull it up. You guys are going to see the price, and then you're going to laugh at me.
Oh my God. Hey, Axel. I thought you were doing a Elden Ring stream. No, you can't call it a toy scepter. You have to call this a machine.
Well, I mean, it's basically a toy. So I'm going to show you guys down from the price. So this thing turns on, rolls, transforms, has an app with it that it runs with, and then there's an exploded view of the whole thing. It's
Lord.
Absolutely bonkers, like crazy bonkers.
This is why he's called Geeks with Cash.
Well, I haven't been spending that much cash on there, and lo and behold, I went and spent a bunch of cash. I also bought a specialty lens, which I plan on having some fun with. But this phone thing right here is actually a case. I don't know how I feel about that yet. I'm still absorbing that. But
you
yeah,
didn't get the gold one, huh? You didn't get the gold one, huh?
No. Actually, that's a totally
the gold
different
one's
version.
that's only 200. That's only like $200.
What is that?
That is a.
They did a Japanese master. I've got this figure, but not in gold. He's a cool figure. I like him. He's fun.
Chan says, "Can it compete in battle bots?" For what you're about to see, how much it costs, it might.
Would do terrible in battle bots, man. This is not a battle bots robot. It would die a horrible,
horrible make death. It one.
I don't know. Wait till you see it like turn around and move. It moves in really weird ways. It's fun though. I really am really having a good time with it. I'm really enjoying it. I gotta find a really good place to display it.
No, you didn't show the price.
No, I did not show the price.
Just imagine.
Okay, so this is our chat our chat game of the night. Chat. Guess the price of Nick's new Optimus Prime. Put your guesses in the chat. I want to see how close. Somebody gets.
It should be interesting.
This should be.
We kind of came up with this topic real quick this weekend, and this is going to be on video game compilations on whether or not they're a good thing, a bad thing, just a cash grab, how much you like them, how many of them you're looking forward to, and pretty much the whole kit and caboodle. Because you kind of had that idea because we were talking about this weekend, or it might have been the previous weekend, about video game preservation and how like some of the compilations are another way of approaching that on a more current medium, right? So that they're generally more available than they were before. Sometimes, depending on what they do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Mazin's here.
What's up, Mazin Power?
What's up, Mazin? Retro Babes.
$1 million. You've gone over, sir.
Yes. Cerebral Paul has gone over.
1,500.
Jan has gone over.
Closer. So it's not hard to be closer than okay. $6.99.
Smith is close.
HTK's in here. Vast Starwin's in here. 21 Sandwiches here. Wow, everybody's popping in.
Peter.
Scrambles is in here.
Dash. Scrambles. The gang is almost all here.
I'm just letting people guess. I'm not giving any more hints.
I want to see who.
I will tell you that it is less than $1 million.
Yeah, somewhere between $6.99 and $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. There you go.
The Price is Right. What are we playing?
It's right. What are we playing?
It's like, what are we playing? Hold on. Peter, I'm gonna DM this to you in our Discord. You've got to see this thing.
It's absolutely stupid. My wife was chuckling at me the whole time. She was just grinning ear to ear, watching me giggle and like,
Brother TL's in the chat. What's up, Triple?
run this thing around and all that.
Brother Moses is in the chat. What's up, Moses?
What's up, Moses? Good to see you, man. So obviously, one of the collections I'm looking forward to is right behind me. I've been kind of waiting for Darkstalkers to have a bit of sort of a resurrection of sorts. And they did at one point, but I never even knew it dropped. They had a Darkstalkers Resurrection that came out on the Xbox Live Arcade. I'm slightly disappointed that I do not think that is going to be in this collection, but there's like 4 other Darkstalkers games in the collection. It's primarily a Darkstalkers collection.
It primarily is. Which one were you looking for?
I think Resurrection, it was on Xbox Live Arcade, and I think it went down with the Live Arcade.
Yeah, that's not on this one.
No, it is not. And I don't know why.
Well, who knows? I mean, this one basically has Darkstalkers, Night Warriors, Vampire Savior 2, Vampire Hunter 2, Red Earth, Cyberbots, Super Puzzle Fighter Turbo 2, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, Street Fighter 2 Hyper, and then Super Gem Fighter Mini Mix, which I'd never actually heard of.
I'm confused by at least one of those. The Turbo Fighting one, I'm confused because I thought that was already on their 30th anniversary collection.
The Super Puzzle Fighter?
No, the Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
This is Hyper.
Okay, I thought that version was already on the 30th collection where you had all the alphas and all the Street Fighter 2s and Street Fighter 3 in there. I thought it was in that collection.
Hang on a second, and I will tell you what's in. Because, you know, it's funny. Capcom has been on this kick of doing compilations lately.
They have been, and it's been kind of cool. But they're not giving us all of them that we would like, I think. There's been a couple others, like Rival Schools still hasn't seen a re-release on anything.
No.
I don't think
is this getting a physical release to the Fighting Collection?
Do what?
Is it getting a physical release?
I think so. I think it's actually coming up. I think it's going to get a physical release on the consoles, but not on PC because it's going to go to Steam. Obviously.
All right.
But PC, I never buy physical anyway because there's like no point ever.
All right, here's what's
not
on.
A thing anymore.
Here's what's on the 30th anniversary Street Fighter edition. Street Fighter 2,
hey Lance.
Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, which was the Genesis version, if you guys remember. Hang on. Oh, come on. Unclick from there. Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting, Super Street Fighter 2, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Street Fighter Alpha, Alpha 2, Alpha 3, Street Fighter 4, 4 Second Impact, and Street Fighter Third Strike. Of course, you can't have 5 in there because 5 is a PlayStation exclusive. So,
yeah, I thought Street Fighter 2 New Challengers was on there, or did you say that one?
It is. That's the Super Street Fighter 2.
Okay.
So,
all right, so they skipped that one and then they put it on this collection. I am looking forward to Red Earth. I've done a little bit of research on that game as more of an obscure fighter, and this might bring that one more to people's light because I think that's a cool concept for like a fighting game, and I kind of want to get my hands on it and actually play it. Thought about downloading the ROM back in the day, but now this collection's coming out, I'll just pick this up because a lot of Capcom games, sometimes those are harder to emulate. Because of the way their boards worked, it makes them kind of tricky sometimes. So even when you can get them to run, sometimes they don't run so great, which is kind of why I really haven't dove too much into the Darkstalkers collection, because a lot of those hit on either arcade, they would be that, or you had to get them on like PlayStation, and the PlayStation ones were a little... I don't know if it was just the mechanics or if they're just a little slow, like the loading screens and all that were annoying too. So I didn't dig into them as much. I'd only heard about it because I was digging into some rare fighting games at the time. Scepter. I'm having trouble remembering it, but I think each one of them had like different like animal spirits they could use, and they could use theirs like a couple times per round, but you could use other people's like once per fight to like counter things. And they had some just crazy character designs in there. It looked really neat. So I'm kind of looking forward to that.
So I'm going through a couple things. So I don't know how many compilations did you guys get for older systems too? It's funny, compilations have been going on for a long time. And a lot of my compilations are actually things that I have on retro consoles. And they go back as far as, there's been compilations on the Genesis, on the Super Nintendo,
Yeah, Sega 6-pack.
Sega 6-pack. On the Saturn, there was Sega Ages. Even like the Sega CD, one of the pack-ins was a Genesis compilation with Streets of Rage, Columns. But like I brought a little stack. I don't know what you guys have from a compilation standpoint, but I brought kind of a little stack of stuff. I wish that I had, the only compilation I have on the Saturn is Sonic Jam, which is Sonic 2, Sonic 3, and Sonic Knuckles. But this if you could find them, and they're expensive as all get out now, Saturn had a Sega Ages collection set, and it was broken up into multiple discs. So cousin Born.
Silence, Rob.
Don't make us get the hose.
So, and those had like the Afterburner and Space Harrier and Outrun arcade games on them and stuff like that. So, did you guys collect any of these collection discs?
No, I have a lot of compilations and stuff. Our topic was for modern consoles, because I was tempted to just grab like a bunch of compilations. But
I don't think it really matters for modern consoles. Just compilations in general. It's how they've kind of
a lot of
these games forward through generations. Right?
Yeah, a lot of the compilations I have are like the title collections on the like the PS2. Where they're kind of more arcade focused. So I pretty much just grabbed the ones that are just compilations of games that have previously appeared on other consoles and now, just like the Mega Man collections are obviously going to be the ones I'm going to grab first. So I figured that was kind of more like what the idea was, that we're preserving older games that were on consoles with like the Disney afternoon compilation of the Capcom Disney games, which I don't have.
Well, and we can certainly those count in my estimation. I mean, when we're talking about preserving older titles, it doesn't necessarily have to be arcade. So, like I said, Sonic Jam is the Sonic games. But I think to
grab Sonic Jam because I do have that one.
Yeah, it's one of and it's actually worth a couple $100 now. So if you have it, hold on to it.
I will.
So that pretty much answers everybody's question in chat, because everybody was asking how much.
And there actually is a considerable value in the arcade compilations, just because a lot of those didn't really appear on consoles, and some of those arcade games never came to consoles. So it's good to have a continuous resource of ways to play those, because there's some great Blood Brother. We're gonna go off on a tangent for a second. Blood Brothers. It was one of my favorite arcade games. I don't think it's ever appeared on any compilation at all.
No.
Who
made that?
Ooh, who made that? I bet Zombie knows. Is Zombie still in the chat?
I thought Zombie was in here. He was a little while ago. See, I didn't start doing a lot of collections until.
Hang on, I'll get it. TAD Corporation and FabTech in the U.S.
Yeah, so it was the guys that made Cabal.
Yeah, it's spiritual sequel to Cabal.
And I think kind of got a spiritual port with the Wild Guns on the Super Nintendo, which obviously didn't exactly end up in everyone's living room. So
Wild Guns is a neat game, though. I thought about
it is, and I
trying
love
to
the
pick up
arcade
the
game on
physical
Blood Brothers,
version for the
so.
Switch just to have a physical copy of that one. I don't even know if it's still in print.
Oh wow, this is a neat looking game.
The Wild Guns, the Switch one, the re-release. I think it is. I snatched it up as soon as I could, thinking there was going to be like a limited run.
Yeah,
it
that's
just
kind of
has-
what I was afraid of.
I got the FOMO, and it. I think I've still seen it in stores because it's on the PS4, probably on the Xbox One, and you could always get it digitally too. It's still in the stores, online stores.
Speaking of which, I still got to jump on the Wii U store and make a couple purchases before that goes down. Make sure I get this downloaded. The only problem, the main thing that annoys me with early Nintendo systems and downloadable content is they usually give you a woeful amount of space, where it's almost laughable.
Right.
And you do like 2 downloads, and you're like, "So what happened to my space?" They're like, "Well, that's all we thought you need." And why did you offer me like GameCube games and Wii games to download?
Right.
And your OS took up like 12 gig of your 32 gig, by the way. So what?
Yeah. So one, what I've come to like about a lot of these compilations though is as we're talking about whether or not we're talking about modern consoles versus not, I think the fact that they're still spanning across multiple generations of both old consoles and new, the fact that they're coming up on Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, there's a lot of game preservation there. And for me, because I've got it, so I'll give you an example, right? So I have a ton of Midway games just in my compilations. I have, and I'm missing I'm missing one that I'm still trying to find. So on the Dreamcast, I have Midway's Greatest Arcade Hits Volume 1. It's got Joust and Robotron and Defender 2,
Yeah,
Bubbles,
Defender,
and
all
Sinistar.
those, right.
Now, all of those also came out on the Xbox. Hang on, sorry, my microphone is falling. The stand is falling. Sorry. On the Xbox, I ended up getting Arcade Treasures 1 and 3, and I'm missing 2. But like 1 has a good 30 games on it, right? All arcade stuff, completely arcade. And then 3 are all the arcade racing games like Hydra Thunder, San Francisco Rush, Super Off-Road, Race Driving, Stun Runner, which I played the heck out of in the arcade.
Me too.
And Off-Road Runner. So this started getting that. And then Midway Origins on the Xbox 360, which happens to be backward compatible up to the Xbox One. And I'm sure there's a PS3, PS4 version, has a lot of the other arcade games I've been missing, like 720 Degrees, APB, Pit Fighter, Gauntlet. I think there's some gauntlets on.
To be fair, nobody really
one.
misses Pit Fighter.
Volume 2 is the only one I have. I'm still. I didn't really have much interest in the first one, but I did want the third one because of all the racing games, particularly Stun Runner, because I love that arcade game.
Good man.
But I did ended up with you just reminded me. I do have it. It's in the garage. The one, the N64 version.
Oh, you got it in the N64. Okay.
Nice.
Nice. I don't think I've ever opened it up.
I don't think I've ever seen an N64 version of that. That's awesome. So, do you have the second one handy? I'm curious as to what's on it.
I can go grab it.
Yeah, I'm curious as to what's on it. It's like when you're playing Monopoly, McDonald's Monopoly, and one guy has Park Place and the other guy has Boardwalk. It's
I know
to get the collection.
And neither will trade because no.
Right. But I'll split the million with you.
No, you won't. You lie, sir. You lie.
Nice. Oh my goodness.
So Hasselhoff was saying the most interesting compilation was the Infocom collection released years ago. All Infocom games on floppies. I don't even think I know much about Infocom, much less who the hell had a floppy drive. I mean, that's a cool gimmick, but even 10 years ago, I didn't have a floppy drive.
depending on what floppies you have. So I have a external 3.5-inch drive. I mean, if it came on 3.5,
Why?
because there are still some applications I have that require. I've got an old digital piano that still requires floppy disks instead of like plugging a computer into it. So I still have a semi need for it.
Strange, but I'll go with you on it. And I agree, Hasselhoff. I mean, yeah, they're being moved forward, but there's issues with some of them because they were designed for a CRT, they were designed for wired controllers, et cetera, et cetera. You're still emulating the hardware, which takes up resources and makes its own input lag. So yeah, I mean that's going to be a constant thing for these moving forward. But I mean, when you think about it, kind of what's your option, right? On card-based games, they'll stay around for a significant longer amount of time by the very nature of them being carts. But you're still going to have them break down at some point. And CDs are, a lot of people are starting to notice, like disc rot on those now. So those are becoming a lot more dangerous to volatile to keep. And honestly, I do not know why I didn't know about them, and I may have played stuff by them, and I just didn't recognize the name. That may have been more it as far as Infocom.
But I
gotta catch up with
grabbing
comments.
other thing. I think this is the only other Darkstalkers physical compilation that, at least in the States, exists. This has, I think, I want to say it's a combination of the first 3 games, maybe.
I thought that was like a single game.
I
like
think
a
it combined
game?
elements of.
Because I think that's the only one I did like a no death run with like Felicia on, because she was like my main on that one. I played the crap out of that one.
I could have sworn it was it wasn't like a straightforward port of the first 3 games. I thought it just kind of squished those features together into one game.
I think that's what it is, because I don't remember there being like a compilation collection on the PSP. I do remember buying that game and playing the crap out of it, though. I had a lot of fun with that one.
So, Mike, I grabbed the
yes. So
2.
what is on that one?
It's got Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 3, Gauntlet 2, Spy Hunter 2, Zybots, Narc, APB, Cyberball 2072, Timber. Drawing a blank. Do you know what Timber is?
I don't.
Total Carnage, Pit Fighter, Wizard of War, Xenophobe, Primal Rage, Arch Rivals, Rampage, World Tour, Cosmic Cruiser, Championship Sprint, Hard Driving, and Wacko.
That's a pretty good compilation.
Now, speaking of compilations, you could also argue the Evercade is nothing but different compilations, right?
And what I actually brought similar to that is just the first mini console.
Yep, I've got the Super NES one. I've got the Super NES one downstairs.
Yeah.
I want to show this to. I want to show this to Scepter server, and I want to trigger a couple other people in the chat. He mentioned
Zip this.
I've got a whole. If I could find a zip drive, I've got a whole freaking.
Yeah, that was a medium that lasted all of like 6 months and then vaporized.
Yeah, I actually still, if I can find a drive, I've got my old bulletin board system code on one of these zips.
Just like, there it is.
There it is. So now this is it. So emulation versus port, Scepter says. I would argue that all these compilations are also emulated. Like none of this is, because when you to do a port would mean that you'd have to remake, you'd have to, it wouldn't be the arcade. You're not porting an arcade. You're nobody. I don't think anybody who is making any of these compilations are actually recoding anything. I think that they are just simply emulating with their own built-in emulators.
Yeah, you would have to literally recode it and make the art style match in order to make it native to the hardware. And I don't think anybody's going to do that.
No,
they're going to put an emulator on the disk that it accesses, and then it's going to boot that ROM when you ask it to. and then it's going to run it. That's the fastest, easiest way to do it.
Right.
Even on the Switch, when you start doing the NES, Super NES, and the Genesis stuff, that's all emulated. That is not physical. These are emulated. These are not like remastered for the hardware. It's all emulation. So that's primarily what you're getting out of a lot of these days.
Yeah, you're getting them out of everything, whether it's the old games or the new games.
Jan, I like it. I got the handheld not that long ago. I want to do a review on it. Mine's actually pretty clean. I was a little concerned when I first got the handheld because I'd heard horror stories of people having handhelds that had issues, screen issues, button issues, etc. Mine's in really good shape, so I'm quite happy with it. I need to spend more time playing it is what I need to do so that I can get a review done on it. I got a little bit of B-roll on it today, but I still haven't done too much with the collections that I got packed in with it. But I bought it for two reasons. One, I liked the controller for the VS, and two, it gave me 3 more games when I bought it. So it was like getting a controller in 3 different carts. So that seemed worth roughly the $100 in and of itself. And then I picked up the Namco Museum Collection too to go along with it. Neither of the Namco collections will work on the VS, unfortunately. I don't know what their deal is with that. I'm told it's a licensing thing for whatever reason.
Like it will work in the handheld, but you put it in the Versus and it doesn't?
That's correct.
That is garbage right there, sir.
They have different licensing for the Versus versus the Evercade itself.
Oh, wow.
And that's per Namco. They couldn't work it out.
Namco was pulling the carts too after all. If they
that's kind of why I got this. That's kind of why I got the handheld, because if you go on Funstock, they have both Collection 1 and Collection 2 still, and Collection 1 came with the Evercade I bought, along with the Interplay Collection and one other. And then I bought the second Namco Collection, that way I'd have both of them. I just have them on hand.
I mean, I'm still calling shenanigans on that though. That's not right.
Right, games. And according to John, the emulation isn't quite as good on the Evercade as it is on PC, and to which I went, duh. We have like an actual computer running it, so it's obviously going to be able to process things even through emulation faster than
I think it's also
an
the
Evercade, which is running essentially like a Pi type board. Yeah,
but I think even there's been a lot of coding advancements in Libretro and which is running RetroArch and what's up, Dread? I think it's more than just the power of the PC. I think it has a lot to do too with the cores that are being used. Groceries are put away. What are we talking about?
We're talking about various different compilations, and we got onto the Evercade because it's a system based entirely around compilations.
That's
basically.
Exactly it. They do. I mean, all that aside, though, you got to give them a lot of credit for what they're doing, because they're doing a fantastic job of curating a lot of retro games.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they're getting into the arcade side, because one of the reasons I had always held off on the Evercade was all of their current compilations up until the arcade series was all like NES and 16-bit. So all stuff that I could emulate anyway, and even on my phone. So it was hard to justify buying a new handheld for it. But all that said, they do a fantastic job of curating these games. I do have to give that to them. It's one of the things I like about these. I think some of the best compilations have actually been these midway compilations, because even though not every game is for you, and there's certainly games on all of my compilations that I don't mess with, although I got strangely hooked on Bubbles. I got strangely hooked on that game. It's about you as a sponge cleaning a sink, and that
actually sounds kind of fun.
I remember that arcade actually.
Yeah, I got hooked on that playing it I think it was like last week.
That's right. There's a Disney Afternoon Collection. I forgot about that. And then there's a couple of Castlevania ones, and the Contra one. Yeah.
Yes. So Konami put out 3 really good compilations that's out on PS4, Xbox One, which are backward compatible all the way up, Steam, and Switch. The Castlevania Anniversary Collection, which I got and was really impressed with.
I need to pick that up because there's one on Steam and then there's another one that came out on the Switch, which was like the Game Boy Advance games. I don't know if that's been released elsewhere though.
Yes. So on the compilation on the Castlevania Anniversary Collection, which came out in 2019, Castlevania 1, Simon's Quest, Dracula's Curse, Super Castlevania for the SNES, Castlevania Bloodlines for the Genesis,
Nice.
Game Boy, Castlevania Adventure on Game Boy, Castlevania 2, Belmont's Revenge on Game Boy, and then for
Didn't
kids,
they throw that weird like Kid Dracula?
Kid
one
Dracula.
on there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was NES.
That actually sold a few people on that. I know, Rob, you were talking about that one, right? Because you wanted
I
to
already
Kid
had
Dracula.
I had all those games originally, so there was really nothing there for me. So I wanted it I wanted to want it. Is basically what it came down to it. Probably should have picked up at least a physical copy of the disc just so I can, for completion's sake. But there was no incentive for me to buy it, unfortunately. However, if I didn't have Kid Dracula already on the Famicom, I would have certainly bought that compilation for it.
I'm going to slander Blast Processing right now. If Blast Processing was great, if you wanted all the color, you wanted double colors on the Genesis and not move. That's what it did. That's all it did. It did not make things go faster.
Sonic disagrees.
Doesn't matter. That wasn't Blast Processing. It wasn't. It was totally a sellable gimmick, dude.
Of course it was a gimmick.
Since we're on my channel, you can't ban me.
Of course it was a gimmick. It was made for a great commercial, though.
It did. It made for amazing commercials.
It did. And
I feel like we snubbed Rob again. I'm sorry, Rob.
Oh.
No, I was actually done. So
Okay.
Games is right too. The Castlevania collection had a really nice, or has a really nice bonus book too, like a history of Castlevania. Very, very cool.
Can you still get a physical copy of that with a book? Because I kind of like to have the book.
I don't know.
Because I didn't know it came with a book.
Yeah.
That might have tempted me more because getting more of the history of that particular series, because it has a weird twisty turny like history to it. Like the actual first game in the actual chronological order of what actually came first was, I want to say, like the first PlayStation game. Because it kind of went back and reorganized the story and who came where. So it's kind of weird. It's not as bad as Kingdom Hearts. Like you could literally, people have spent 30 minutes trying to unravel Kingdom Hearts, and I feel like they failed.
So
Limited Run Lanes did a limited release too.
Okay.
Hi, Louise. By the way, good to see you.
Hey, Louise. Did you guys see the Contra collection? Because I didn't buy that yet, but I really want to.
I'm thinking about picking that up on Steam because it goes on sale all the time.
What's on that one?
All right, here we go. Contra, Super Contra.
Mm-hmm.
Contra,
it's got the arcade. I have seen that one.
Okay, so the arcade one, Arcade Super Contra, NES Contra, Japanese NES Contra, Super C NES, Contra 3, the Alien Wars NES, Super Probotector Alien Rebels, that I think is the Japanese.
Super Probotector is the British version.
British, European. Yeah. Okay, so
because what they did is they didn't like humans fighting things, so they changed it. They reskinned it to where it was like robots fighting other robots.
Gotcha. All right, so Probotector, Operation C for the Game Boy, Contra Hardcore for the Genesis, and then Probotector for, I guess, I don't know what system that.
Probotector would have been like NES, I want to say, in like Europe.
This was the one that's on this collection is Mega Drive.
Okay.
Alien Rebels is it doesn't Alien Rebels is SNES. Oh, Contra 3 the Alien Wars is also SNES.
Yes.
So
yeah, Alien Wars was always like Super Nintendo.
Oh, and the Japanese Contra is PC.
Interesting. I heard that the Japanese Contra is actually easier than the NES version. If I'm remembering that right.
I think a root canal is easier than the NES version.
That I managed to beat it, so
That's
I don't know what to tell you.
a hard ass game.
Rob managed to beat it.
Well, aren't you guys just special?
So 2 out of 3 on here beat it, and Rob does like no death runs on it and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I beat Contra Hardcore, so
I haven't messed with hardcore.
I haven't done that one.
Contra Hardcore was great. In fact, Contra Hardcore was one of those games that kind of showcased the Genesis because it actually did software sprite scaling, and it was amazing what they pulled off in that game from a special effects for the Genesis.
I feel like Bloodlines did that too. They did some really cool
Bloodlines
stuff.
did
on
that.
Bloodlines and Rocket Knight.
Rocket Knight Adventures.
Yeah.
Oh.
Rocket Knight and
Konami was
Bloodlines
really
are
good
ones I
about
might visit.
showing,
I don't know.
Super Castlevania for the Super Nintendo was basically a good game.
It was
It's
great
right,
game.
but it was also this is what the Super Nintendo can do. So it
Yeah,
used
this is
all
what
the
Mode
tricks.
7 does for you.
Yeah,
Yeah. It was a big
all the sprite
showcase for
scaling, all the
that.
rotation, all that kind of crap. Konami was really, you wanted them making a launch game for you if you had a system coming out.
Yes, I agree. Pour
Miles and
one
don't
out
lie.
for Konami of old.
Since Konami owns Hudson Soft, I keep hoping to get a collection of Bomberman or Bonk.
No.
Yeah, I would like to see them do something with those IPs because I feel like those have laid fallow for like way too long.
I'm
and
not
there's a
sure.
bunch of TurboGrafx and C engine stuff that would just be great to see come back.
I bought a Konami branded, like the last Bomberman game that came out. I think it had some Konami characters in there too. I did not like it. I thought it was garbage.
The only one I got, the only Bomberman I've really played was the one on the Switch, and I'm told that one's terrible and you shouldn't play it.
No, that's probably the one that I played.
Is
just on the
that
PS4.
which one is that? Is that because I have a Bomberman for the Xbox,
What's it
Xbox
called?
One. That's really good. It's called Super Bomberman something or other. Hang on.
I can't remember.
I'll look it up real quick because
Right.
I'm sure that Nick and I played the same game.
I'm certain it is because it was the one that launched early on the Switch, and I just couldn't really get
Super
into
Bomberman
it.
R.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, Contra 3 had some neat Mode 7 effects as well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, most of them are on the that overhead isometric thing that was kind of difficult to rotate around. And I know I'm sort of ambivalent to on those, and Rob straight up hates those.
Yeah, I can't stand those overhead levels in Super Contra. They can be extracted from the game, and the game would be better for it.
Super
Yeah, I would
Bomberman
like
R
to see
was not
Konami
bad.
stop focusing on pachinko for a little bit, or at least take some of the money they're making on pachinko and actually make some video games again.
Well, the problem
Um,
is they're not making any money on pachinko anymore.
Yeah, well, that was eventually going to fall out when you stick all your money in one basket.
Uh-huh. So the other, in case you were wondering, so we talked about this on the Shmup episode, but there was one more collection that Konami put out, and I bought it like right after that, after the show, and I'm like, holy crap. It is the Arcade Classics collection that they put out. And this was also
That's what I have.
Yeah. Haunted Castle, which is the arcade version of Castlevania, and by very rights, a bad game, not a good game. I tried it; it sucks. Typhoon, Nemesis, which is Gradius, Vulcan Venture, which is Gradius 2, Life Force, which is Salamander, Thundercross, Scramble, which I played a lot as a kid.
That's basically the proto version of Gradius, right? It's like what they like the rough draft, and then they were like, "Yeah, let's beat this up." And I never played.
Yeah,
it,
I could see that because it did look a lot the same.
A lot of the Gradius. What's the other way to pronounce that? There we go. Partial nudity.
Is this the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
The Arcade Classics. This does not have great reviews on Steam. It's like mixed reviews. Haunted Castle.
I like what I
It's like the
played.
evil version of
Haunted Castle was
Castlevania.
bad. Thundercross was good. Life Force was pretty good. I enjoyed playing that.
This looks like a solid collection to me. I wonder if it's just got a performance issue on PC, and that's why people are
Twin
Kinda
B
bagging on
was
it.
like Xevious. See, Scramble, I had it on my and you had a ColecoVision, right, Nick?
Yeah, I don't remember ever
Remember-
playing Scramble.
No, but remember Cosmic Avenger?
Drawing a blank. Maybe I didn't have that one.
It's basically a clone of Scramble.
Okay. So that's at least some footage on that. I don't know why people are bagging on this one. That actually looks like it's pretty good.
It's a pretty good compilation.
Oh, some people
Just
are
real quick,
complaining
as long as
because
we're
they
on the
can't even get the
Konami
games
thing,
to start because they
I
can't.
did bring in this for the PS2. I
nice.
think it's the only way that Gradius 4 was released on a console, I think. Unless it came out on, because the PSP had a couple Gradius.
I used to call it
compilations
Gradius.
also. I don't know if number 4 was on there. Gradius Gaiden was, to my knowledge, which is one I really want. And as long as I'm on full screen, I also brought this in. Now, I think this is, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this at least partially some of the Sega Ages versions of these games?
Yes.
I actually liked what I played.
What's on that comp? Because
let's see, it's got Outrun, Space Harrier, Virtua Racing, Monaco GP, Tant R, Golden Axe, Columns, Fantasy Zone, which is the one I played. I really like that version. Bonanza Brothers and Alien Syndrome.
You know what I'd like to see done? I would really like to see Golden Axe get like a remaster.
I would love to see a remastered Golden Axe.
Even if they just and honestly, this would be a great time to add Revenge of Death Adder in there because it only ever had an arcade release, and that's probably the best one. Like out of all of them, I think that's the best one.
Bonanza Brothers. Can you go full screen again real quick?
Yeah, hold on.
So
there you go.
Look, it looks like a puzzle game. Tantar. Does it?
Oh yeah.
Scepter Sever, is that the one you? It's like WarioWare. All right, that's all I got.
Huh? Strange. See, the main ones that I started picking up is I've got the beat 'em up bundle that came out for the Switch, so I enjoyed that one. I've got the Street Fighter one, like I said. I'm gonna be picking up the one that's on the thing behind me. I think I picked up one of the Mega Man ones that had 1 through like 6.
Yeah, they got a ton of the Mega Man Legacy collections.
Yeah, so there's like 2 Mega Man Legacy collections, and then there's like 2 Mega Man X collections, I think, right now.
Yeah, so the one I have on the PS4 has both. So
it's got both of those on it. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
These are probably also available separately. And this, I actually brought this as a talking point also because at least for one of these games, Mega Man X5, this is not the original console version that came out in the States.
Ooh,
interesting.
They have changed things a little bit. So that brings up an interesting question of, does it really count as preservation, just like with George Lucas again, where he keeps on preserving Star Wars by re-releasing it on but he makes changes every single time. So you're not really getting the original version. There are some, quality of life improvements and all that, but and for what it's worth, the change they made to Mega Man X5, which is what I'm referring to, is a positive change. I've complained about this before, where they had renamed for the States. They renamed all the Maverick characters to be Guns N' Roses.
Oh yeah. I remember we had that talk. Yes,
they put them back. They renamed them with their original Japanese versions, which is fine, but there's no option to play the original PlayStation version of that game, which
that seems kind of lazy. It seems like you could have put both in there easily.
And with these games, I mean, a lot of them they have at the very least they have the Japanese version and the US version, and on some of them they actually have also the like the French version, the German version, so you can play the game and all the voices are in French and the title screens are a little different. So it's a slightly different game with each one.
Right.
I don't know why they wouldn't have given the USB version, if they wanted to call it that, where you still have Duff McWhalen and Axel the Red instead of
I'm sorry, those
Like
names make me
Ren.
giggle. Those names make me giggle.
It's
Hey
just
Jen,
weird.
as much as you say, yay, Mega Man Collection, I've actually thought about picking up at least the first one and going back through 4 to get back to where I was, because something about the PS1 version, and I'm curious if it carries over. It feels a little slow compared to 1 through 3. Like things don't react quite the same way, and I don't know if it's my emulation or if it's just that the PlayStation version was just mechanically designed that way intentionally. You can eventually get used to it, but going from like 3, which was frustrating to play, mechanically very fast, to 4 was pretty jarring, at least initially. And then if I go away and I play something else, and then I come back to it, it's also kind of hard to kind of get back in that rhythm because it doesn't feel like what I'm used to the others feeling like when I play it. It's kind of weird.
So, since you guys are the Mega Man experts, and I am definitely not, let me ask this question about is Mega Man 8 Anniversary considered a new game in the series from the 32-bit era, or was that a remake or master of an older game?
No, it was made for the PlayStation Saturn.
Okay.
That's it, right? Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, because I have the Saturn version, and I wasn't sure if it was a compilation of any kind. I wasn't sure.
Now, I do think that for the Saturn, or maybe it was the I think it was the Japanese PlayStation. They actually did remake the first 6 NES games, and they had like new soundtracks and all that. So I don't know.
Hang on, I can tell you about the Saturn version in just a second.
So they might have done that to kind of help drum up interest in Mega Man 8, because I mean that was a big deal around that time, was all the Mega Man stuff.
Yeah,
I remember.
I think that's when they dropping those on the. No, it was 9, 10, and I want to 9 and 10 that they dropped on the Wii, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was much later though. So I mean, this was all around the same year. I think it was 1990.
How's it going, Hector?
Hey, Hector.
What's up, Hector? I think that when you went to Capcom's website, which is what I did a lot at work, it was just Mega Man stuff. It was that, I guess Resident Evil was up there too, Street Fighter, but Mega Man was front and center.
Yeah, so now they seem to mostly be like RE and Street Fighter, and that's doing right now.
All right, I don't think that I don't think the US Saturn version had anything else. So I
didn't even know Wily Wars was a thing until like way later. I think I remembered seeing it once in the store, and I never picked it up because at the time, like the Mega Man games were just like way out of my reach. I was just really bad at being able to get through any of those. I've since gotten a little bit better, at least on the X series, where I can at least pound my way through it. But I would definitely say it's a struggle. At best.
That is worth a crazy amount of money, that disc. The Mega
Man X.
Yeah, I try not to play it much. That's one where if I could get a repro of it and get the action replay just to play it, I would, because that thing is worth. Let's see. Right now, that is worth $627.
Hey, Hasselhoff, I've managed to finish the first 3, and I'm working on the 4th one. So, the fact that I'm finishing like Mega Man X games at all means I am better than a lot of the population in Mega Man.
I think he's complimenting you. I think he's saying you're a bad man. Bad Mega Man.
I think he's just saying I'm terrible at it, which is fair. But
no, I think
there are levels of terrible here.
I'm interpreting it. I'm interpreting it differently. But then again, it is Hasselhoff. So, what was I going to say about? So you brought up that Sega Classics collection. I have not seen anything like that since, and the last good collection Sega put out was the Genesis Classics. Which is a great compilation. It's like 50.
The one on the PS3, the Sonic.
It was PS3, Xbox One, PS4. It has a ton of those. It's got a ton of games on it. I haven't seen many other collections from them.
Just the I think the Genesis Mini was the last collection they did.
Yep.
And that's another thing where the
I think
a
you
lot
could
of
still find
every
that.
single one of the Genesis collections is just slightly different. Like I think there are some games on the Genesis Mini that weren't released previously. I think Thunder Force 3 wasn't on any other Genesis compilations. I think. Don't quote me on that. You probably know better than I do.
I haven't seen Thunder Force on
Also,
many.
Monster World 4. That was the first time I think it's been released in the United States. But then they also don't carry over. It's not like they stack all these games and just add more to them with each compilation, that they're dropping some as they go forward. So,
Well, I mean, I'd be okay with them doing like a couple of collections and just releasing like different ones on there, right? Because that's what they usually do on most of these is they'll put a couple of games that they know people will really want, and then they'll put some of the lesser known ones on there too, right?
Jan,
and then they'll put more heavy hitters on different ones.
you missed a good moment then in the Mega Man X stream. Nick raged a little bit in one of the Sigma stages.
No.
Yeah, I saw it.
I rage on every game. I don't know what you guys are talking about. It's not like that's a huge surprise. Jan just wants me to like just be screaming incoherently the entire stream, though. That's the difference. I don't get very far if I do that the entire stream. There's actually documented proof of that. Because I've had streams like that before.
And actually, to Scepter Sever's point, that Wily Wars collection is on the Genesis Mini. So that was the first time it was released officially for purchase United States. It was originally on the Sega.
Wasn't it Japanese, Japan only or something like that before?
Yeah, it was Japan only. Actually, Japan and Europe only. And even on those territories, it was incredibly small release, I believe. So it's uncommon even there. By the way, what's up, Eating Paste? Hey, Triple Indy.
Speed running on collections is okay so long as someone indicates that they did. I don't know. The way I feel about doing things on collections versus doing things on any other medium, I get having a different speed running category because generally the original hardware is going to run a little bit quicker than emulation is. I don't feel like it's any problem with you beating it as long as you're playing it the way the game's intended to be played. And by that, I mean, like, most of those collections, like, when you see me play Mega Man X, you could say that I didn't really beat it, but the way that I do that is I put save states between stages where I would normally get a passcode. So instead of having to key in a passcode, I just go back to the state from before I started the stage. On Mega Man 4, I'm not even doing that because I can save after every stage or fail, I can just save. So I don't even have to do that at that point. So as far as I'm concerned, from like 4 forward, where they actually just have you save normally, that's as much as like playing it on the original hardware. It just might be a little slower. I would disagree, Scepter, because I've seen speedrunners using the Nintendo Switch to play and run. Matter of fact,
I know Thumb Brothers
does that for a decent amount.
Yeah, I know he practices on that. I think the officials, if they're actually being if they're competitive speedrunners, they'll probably practice a lot on emulation because that's how they can, set their save states and just practice those specific parts over and over again. But when they're actually recording their runs, I believe they try to do original hardware. Arcus is the only one I really watch speedrun.
I've watched Thumb a couple times, and I think he's got like some EverDrives and stuff like that he uses.
I know that Thumb is trying to get original hardware for the games that he's taking seriously. So I think, I don't know if there's actually a real difference between playing an emulated version of Contra versus the original cartridge version running on an actual NES. But I think they like to remove as much interference between the original experience and their run as possible to remove all questions. Basically, don't imply it to remove any kind of doubt of whether they actually legitimately did the run or not.
Yeah, I think that also goes back to what's his name that was playing. They got like the world record on like Donkey Kong or something like that, and they found that he'd emulated it past tense, so
Yeah,
they stripped everything.
Billy Mitchell.
I guess he had literally been cheating through the emulator.
Yeah, see, and that's why I can understand why people don't like emulators. For that
Jim!
kind of stuff. Hey, Jim! What's
Long
up,
time
man?
no see.
Yeah. I have a great crowd.
Yeah,
in
there's
the
been a
chat
few
tonight.
cheaters. Yeah, I could see doing it just to eliminate that. I mean, if there was a way to market to where it could prove that you were just basically doing things legitimately, and I wouldn't necessarily see a problem with it personally, but
Speedrun.com actually has stipulations on what you can use to run certain games.
Billy Mitchell, that was it.
The stipulations get a little tighter the faster your time is, the more competitive you are. So if you are really close to the top time, then they are going to be looking at your run very closely. But there are some emulators they allow, so they do specify what you can use, and a lot of people are running them on emulators. I guess that's just the easiest way to do it.
And I'm wondering too if some of that also has to do with using the original controls. You know,
that's probably part of it. And also just if you have an NES with the original cartridge in there, odds are pretty good you don't have any kind of cheat loaded on there that no one knows about. So I know that when I was watching like Games Done Quick, those tournaments they were doing, and I think for every single one of those, there's a physical console loaded up with the game cartridge or disc installed. They're not emulating it. So
I wonder how that's going to work moving forward, because, I mean, it's going to get harder and harder to find a working NES. The carts will probably still work long after the machines themselves have like gone to dust.
And yeah, I think that the emulation on at least NES has been refined so much that you might as well be playing on the original cartridge. I think there's not as much doubt on the NES games, especially the popular ones, where they've got it down to a science now. So they probably are pretty much 1-to-1. They really want you to play Mega Man.
Yeah, everybody's like trying to get me to play Mega Man constantly. Jan in particular wants me to play like that Mega Man and base one.
It sucks. That's why he wants you to play it. It's not.
I don't speed run in general. I'm not good at speed running. I don't have the temperament for it, and I don't have the reflexes for it. And I just don't think I'd have that much fun with it, to be quite honest with you. I think I'd have more fun doing that than I would no death runs, but I mean, that's probably a pretty low bar. The one no death run I had to my name just happened as I was trying to complete the game.
I want to see somebody
I've been practicing it for like
Ring.
months. You what?
I'll go ahead and speed run Elden Ring. I'm sure that speedrunning has. I mean, speedrunning is very popular. I don't really go for speedrunning. I'd rather enjoy the game.
It's very niche.
Yeah, because I mean there are. I remember Doom and Duke Nukem and those kind of games that had a par time, right? The par time for like a Doom level would be like 2 minutes, 20 seconds. My time would be like 25 minutes.
Oh yeah, I was terrible when they put the par time on there. It was ridiculous because they get lost. And honestly, hands off, I don't really know. I mean, look, I mean, at some point you got to kind of figure out, like, can you get the carts to run? Can you move things onto the cart?
Yeah.
Can you rebuild the carts? Because again, like everything else, it's eventually going to die. I mean, electronics don't last forever, any of them, including the carts. So as long as you can play the OG ones, I say play the OG ones. If you got it, play it, right? If you don't, I'm not going to go out. Me personally, I'm not going to go out and spend $100 to $200 on a working and hope it's a working NES, and then try to get cards for Contra, which are probably upwards of like $90+ when I can just emulate it, or I can buy it in a compilation or something like that. I can play it and enjoy it just as much on that as I can on the OG hardware. I get if you're doing speed running, that may be the cost of entry for speed running. However, I don't speed run. I just want to play the game and have fun with it. So I guess that's where I kind of come from with it. You know what I mean?
I can agree with that. I so the FPGA question is a very good one, and I know there are people that swear by FPGA. But I also look at companies like Polymega that started off wanting to do FPGA and went to emulation for various reasons. One is cost, because it's cheaper to emulate. But I wonder how much trouble they actually ran into trying to get the amount of different systems just on the CDs, not even talking about the modules, but how many of those different CD systems they tried to get to run on FPGA, and maybe there were some compatibility issues. They didn't
FPGA is not a magic bullet for everything yet. It's getting there. It's
not
getting
yet,
much better.
Yeah.
But there's certain things that emulation can do right now that FPGA can't quite do, and it's because FPGA is a lot more complicated because it's closer to a one-to-one experience.
Right.
Which is great when it works. I still want to make like a Mister or something like that to see and feel the difference between that and, like, say, my Raspberry Pi setup. I imagine on earlier stuff like Genesis and NES, especially the earlier games like Contra and stuff like that, I don't know that I'm going to notice that much difference. It would be interesting to try and see how much difference there is, but I suspect at this point that it's not going to be a ton of difference with how far emulations come. As you go later into things, I think you're going to notice a much bigger difference in how they run.
Yeah, and it is the difference between emulation and replication, and there is something to be said for that.
And Hector's saying if I get a Mister, I'm going to diss the Raspberry Pi. I don't know. I might. I've still got to sit down and build one.
But how much will it cost to build one?
I don't think they're that bad. I want to say I built a Pi for. I spent about $100 on the board because I got a board with, like, I want to say like 8 gig of memory on it, so it was fairly beefy and quick. But you can get those for like sub 100, and I think a Mister's probably somewhere around like 200 or so. I want to say it's about double the price of what you normally pay for like a Pi solution. And they're a little more complicated to build because there's a few more parts. It's not massively prohibitive. I don't feel like. Apparently the chip shortages made parts go up, though.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I have to say.
By the way, Thumb popped up in chat. I said hi to him in chat, but because everybody was talking at the time.
I've had very little issue with RetroArch, which is, of course, again, using the Libretro cores, and people have been working on those cores for years. Mm-hmm. And they've really gotten tight with it. There's stuff that I didn't think I could run. Like, I can run, honestly, and I can't tell that it's perfect or not perfect. I can, on this PC I'm streaming on right now, I can run Saturn like a Toyger. I can run Saturn emulation through RetroArch on here really well.
See, I need to try that on the Pi 4 because I've never had good luck with Saturn emulation.
I could
do up to Dreamcast, but that's as far as I've really pushed it.
And I don't use I only really emulate Dreamcast on my phone, and I use one called Redream, and that does a really good job.
Jan, I have no idea when the chip shortage is going to end. Certain things I still have no problem getting, and certain things have become a huge pain in the butt. Matter of fact, at the height of the chip shortage, my water heater died, and I had to go up to a higher model of water heater because they didn't even have the chips for the type of water heater I had. And I'm like, and when he told me, he's like, "Well, I can't get you a water heater," and I went, "I'm sorry, that doesn't work for me. What's Plan B?" He's like, "Well, you can buy this much more expensive model," and went, "Sold."
Do you only have tankless in Colorado?
Only have what?
Tankless in Colorado?
That's what I have now. I had a tank before, and they still sell tanks, but it just was not Like they couldn't the chips that were in that one, they couldn't get a hold of the units because they couldn't get a hold of the chips. And they were running into the same problem with aircon systems and stuff like that. The microprocessors and all that were running them. They're like they had people like lose like their heating and aircon systems in the middle of winter, and they're like, "Well, shit, what do we do?" So it had hit weird areas with the chip shortage. It was bizarre. I've never really bothered with a Pi Zero. I've always gone with like a Pi 3 or Pi 4. I get why people use the Pi Zeros, and those are good units, particularly for like really small handhelds. They're really cool.
What's the difference?
Scepter's a Burnwood. Pi Zero is a much smaller, tighter, less fast version of the Pi unit, but it's usually like a real thin board that can slip into anything like a handheld. I mean, it's almost like credit card thin. It's really super tiny. And it's only got so much storage on it. I don't even know if it'll take like a micro SD card on it or anything. It doesn't have any of like the NICs and stuff like that. It's basically built just to be plugged in real quick. And a lot of people use them as like microcontrollers too. They'll program them with like some other stuff and use them as different microcontrollers. So they're real popular for that. But you can use them in like handhelds and stuff like that too. I just find with most of the ones that I want to mess around with, I think the Pi 3 is small enough that it works fine. And then I've seen mobile cases for Pi 3s and Pi 4s that make those really accessible for on the go too. But the Zeros were used mostly for handhelds for the most part. So people could like put in any form factor they wanted. Hey, Alpha. How's it going, man? Good to see you. I never said I was good at playing Mega Man. I said I suck less than before, and I've actually beaten 3 Mega Man X games now. So that's more than a lot of people beat. That's as far as I went, sir. That's as far as I went. I never claimed to be good. I claimed to be better than other people who have not bothered to beat the Mega Man, any of the Mega Man X series. And yes, I count one, even though one is pretty much the easiest of the ones that I've played so far. 4 is close, but I think 4 is still harder than 1. Alpha likes your shirt.
Lower the conversation.
I know. We had a lower conversation.
Hey, more anthology.
Mine's better than yours for sure. Are you serious?
Okay, we're gonna do Metal Slug first. Okay, here we go.
Mine's better. Actually, I don't know if there was 2 compilations on the PS2, but I have the digital version of the one that has, I think, 1 through 7. So it's kind of confusing to me that there's also this version that has just 4 and 5. I don't know why they would have done 2. But yeah, this is better than Atari all the way. So
no,
that was it.
I mean, no, but I like Metal Slug. Metal Slug Metal Slug is a great game. Metal Slug series was a great series, but the Atari anthology. Let me.
Yeah, Silas.
18. First off, there's 85 games on this thing.
I was about to say, I thought you said 18. You're
18,
gonna sell me an Xbox disc and put 18 on there? Give me a break.
Hold the phone. Hold the phone. I don't need this 2-on-1 thing going on here.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
No.
I'm gonna have to look at the challenge, Alpha. What is the challenge? I missed it.
You'll love it, Nick.
Oh God, that means I'm gonna hate it.
Listen to the way I'm talking. You'll love it.
85. Scepter says 85 games, 2 worth playing.
Oh, stop! Stop it! Let me see if it. I don't know if it listed in here, but I will. Okay, yes. So all of these games are in there. There are 18 arcade games. Oh, hey!
I had to hide a bot.
Naked girl, HD.
Hi, naked bot.
Don't forget to like and sub.
Yeah.
Bye now.
Share it out on your Twitter. Asteroids, Battlezone, Centipede, Missile Command, Tempest, and more. And then 67 Atari 2600 games, including Gravitar, Millipede, Super Breakout, Video Pinball, with Yar's Revenge, Warlords. So there's a boatload of, and this was actually in 1080i, by the way. This was one of the few actual 1080 our original Xbox
Doesn't that just
games.
like stretch? The games
No,
were
because
like almost.
it really doesn't. It
Oh,
was
they
1080.
put like a letterbox thing,
Yeah.
An arcade cabinet boxing around it.
Yeah, but no.
Alright,
I
that
mean,
makes more sense.
this was 1080i interlace, so this was truly upscaled. But there is some great stuff in here.
Scepter's just here, just like wailing on you.
Scepter, we were getting along. Is this because I have zip disks? This is because I have zip disks.
I approve, sir.
I am the whipping boy of Retroroots. This is just what my lot in life is.
At least they let you talk.
Yeah, but apparently everything I say is just not great to everybody. Look, Sega shirt. Maybe?
I'm sure that's gonna get like just lambasted in a little bit too.
Suck it, everybody. I also have the Intellivision Lives, just in case anybody cares.
That one I do want.
This is great. This is really good. This has 60 games on it.
I think the one I'm after is either on the GameCube or the PlayStation 2.
The only issue that I ever have with Intellivision compilations is they do their best to try to emulate the controller, but I will tell you that trying to play a game like B-17 Bomber is nearly impossible on that compilation, because the way you have to do the number pad, it's very
cumbersome.
San Francisco Rush is Midway. Cruisin' is Cruisin' wasn't. I'm thinking.
I thought Cruisin' was
I'm
Midway.
sorry.
I thought it was published by Midway.
And funny enough, so San Francisco Rush is on the Midway Treasures 3. 2049 and the Rock Alcatraz edition. I don't know about Cruisin'. I'm trying to remember Cruisin'. Because when I think Cruisin', and I'm sure that's not right, but when I think Cruisin' USA, which is Nintendo. But that's not what he's talking about. I feel like y'all need koala t-shirts. Does Carla have merch?
I don't know. I don't know if she has merch.
I could do. Oh. Why is the love bot following Mullis everywhere? Yeah, they are following me around. Well, because, the
bots love you.
They do love me.
I heard someone salty was wearing my shirt. How's it going, Stampede?
That's a great shirt. That's a great logo, Stampede.
It is. He did a really good job on it. Also on the back, it says, you can read what it says.
Game's not over.
Or there is no. Can you read it?
Game's not. Game over does not exist in this game room. I got you.
Nice.
Sensei. It should say Sensei at the bottom. That's a missed opportunity, Stampede. So
we have been going for an hour and a half. Yeah. Does anybody have any more compilations they want to show?
Oh, just this one.
Anyone's? Oh, wow. Okay, so
so
I'm gonna go with this one first.
You won that one.
Yeah,
it's like playing war.
This just happened to be on my desk from last episode.
Honestly, that was a pain in the butt to get your hands on for a while. Actually, at least a physical copy, it got really expensive for a while.
It did, and it hasn't dropped in value. At least it's still, at least not in the sense that it's still worth at least the $60. So it hasn't dropped like
60 to 90. I think is totally reasonable for a physical copy of that. Honestly,
and they're really good versions of the games.
But I mean, you start going at like $200, $300, $400.
It's probably the definitive way to play Metroid Prime 1 and 2. So it's definitely worth it. Plus, it comes in like the cool steelbook, nice and solid.
Yeah,
nice.
That's a great looking steelbook.
That's nice.
That's fantastic.
But I mean, they're not. I don't know if there's any plans to have a Metroid Prime Switch collection.
I don't know.
We should.
I feel like it really, really could translate, and even on that, you could change the control scheme to where you could just do dual analog with it if you wanted to instead.
You could have both control schemes because you use those.
Yeah, you could absolutely do like both the nunchucks, and you could have multiple control schemes there. I don't see why you wouldn't. I I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. Mike, what'd you
Nintendo
have?
does not like.
Oh, I had
Metroid,
Namco.
so.
So
Nothing wrong with the Namco collection.
no, and what's really nice about these is they do have, while they do have some special versions of the games, they do faithfully have the originals. And I remember I have it for the Xbox. We just got it last month in our video games monthly for the GameCube. And Seth, being a Pac-Man fanatic, if DJC is still in the room, he his eyes went like wide. He was like, Pac-Man. I'm like, yep. So yeah, this is a great compilation, actually. And I actually have a similar version for the PSP, the Battle Collection, which
Yeah,
has
I can see
even
PSP
more.
being fun for that.
Rally X, Busconian, Rolling Thunder is on this. Is Rolling Thunder on this one? I don't think it is. No. Rolling Thunder's on this one. Dragon Buster, Mappy, and Xevious. So this was a great collection. So
I don't doubt that, Jim. They haven't talked about it since.
And that's what kills me. It says when they almost completely skipped Metroid's anniversary. The only thing they did is they gave us Dread, which is a great game. Don't get me wrong, but you could have released Dread and given us like a Prime trilogy, or given us like a Metroid compilation of most of the 2D Metroid games, like the Game Boy Advance ones. Because still, there's no good way outside of emulation or having the hardware to play Zero Mission and Fusion. Zero Mission especially. Fusion you could get on the 3DS through the store, but Zero Mission never showed up
on
there.
the Wii U right now too? Isn't that one you can get on the Wii U?
Zero Mission? I don't think so.
No, Fusion.
Fusion probably. Yeah, you can get it on the 3DS too. But you
I have it on
can't
3DS
get Zero
the
Mission.
Ambassador,
Hi, Celestial, by the way.
What's up, Seal? But yeah, well, Metroid, Nintendo does. I don't know. That Metroid is one of the redheaded franchises for Nintendo. They don't really seem to care about it too much.
I think it's Miyamoto, man. Miyamoto's never really gotten that franchise.
No,
and
also
he's
I think
kind of heading it up.
I think they just resent anything that Gunpei Yokoi had his hands on. So a lot of his franchises,
I don't understand
they
that,
just let die.
I don't understand that because the only real fupa he had was the Virtual Boy.
And that was Nintendo's fault, not his.
I know.
So,
but I mean, he brought him the Game Boy. He brought him Metroid.
Well,
he worked on any number of other titles.
He ran RD&D once. I mean, he was behind virtually. He did the. I don't think he developed them, but it was Miyamoto's idea for Donkey Kong, but it was him that actually developed the games.
I think he did it under RD1, and then Miyamoto wanted to take that character and make him into Mario, and then went off and did like Mario Brothers, and then Super Mario Brothers especially, just took off like crazy.
Mm-hmm. So all Miyamoto really has is Mario Brothers, Zelda, and Wii Play. Like he has really bad ideas. I do believe that he was behind the Pikmin series, which I absolutely adore. But
wasn't he involved somewhat in Donkey Kong Country too? I know Rare developed.
No, because he talks shit about Donkey Kong. He did not.
He hated the art style. I know.
He said, and I believe my understanding is that he did Super Mario Land 2, Yoshi's Island, as like a slap back at Donkey Kong Country. Is like, this is what I can do with the Super Nintendo, which looks better than, and he's right. Yoshi's Island did look better than Donkey Kong Country, but it aged better anyway.
Well, the thing with Donkey Kong Country is it does that cool 2.5D thing, which is really impressive to do on something like the Super NES, right?
Yeah, it was really impressive at the time, but I mean, that look has not aged very well.
Not as well as others, but I can still kind of go back and look at it and appreciate it for what it is. I still think it's a really good looking game. Yoshi's Island I struggled to enjoy because every time you lose Baby Mario, I want to mute the game because of the screaming. That part drives me crazy. But yeah, I really wish they had done. I would have liked to have seen them done a Game & Watch. I'd like to see the
or
Metroid
at least the
trilogy.
compilation, like they
I
did
would
for
like to
Mario
see them do a
Effort or Kirby.
compilation of like all the handheld games, maybe throw in like Metroid and Super Metroid in there, just to kind of round the whole thing out. I think that
That'd
would
be
have
great.
been that would have been
Be-
great.
Mhm.
Yeah, that'd be great to check out.
Yeah, Miyamoto, I do believe that he had resentment towards Gunpei Yokoi and his team. I think there's some sibling rivalry there, quote unquote sibling rivalry. But I think he actually gets more credit than he probably deserves. He's an idea man. He's not a game creator. And I think that his role as an idea man actually causes problems in the industry. Talk to a lot of other developers that he's worked with, and they can't stand him. The people that he worked with for Star Fox.
Oh God, yeah, he totally
hated
lifted that.
him.
He lifted that entire engine, and then made Star Fox
Mhm.
because they came to him with a prototype of it, and he's like, "Oh no, I don't like that." And then he totally ripped off the prototype, and there we had Star Fox.
I can't imagine that the people at Rare like him that much either because of what he did to their games probably. And
Hey James, good to see you, man.
he's got good ideas. He's got really good ideas. He's got really bad ones, and he only
Yeah.
gets credit for his good ideas, which is unfortunate. So
Yeah, and I agree that he didn't really care for Gunpei because Gunpei spent once Miyamoto kind of bailed on his team and formed his own team, and that team took off. They had a huge rivalry back and forth of trying to one up each other, and I think Miyamoto didn't want anybody casting a shadow on him ever again, and he's held on to that for a long time.
I like all the stuff that Gunpei did a lot better than Miyamoto stuff typically.
Dude, Metroid, particularly when you get the alien influence and you see it and you realize how short a time span they had to develop that game is so much more impressive. Like it just gets more impressive when you realize how short a timeline that they had to build that. Because for over they did that game in like a year, and for over 6 months of it, it was 2 guys building it. And then in the last couple months to release, the entire R&D one team rashed onto that game and finished everything. That's just outstanding to me.
And then also Kid Icarus, which I love, which I know is kind of divisive.
I need to go back and play the first one again.
Excite Bike, like
Excite
I said,
Bike's fun.
pretty much all the
I liked
all the
Excite
black box-
Bike.
all the black box games that were made by Nintendo are Yokoi joints, basically.
Okay, so that would be like a Balloon Fight would be in that. The original Mario Brothers, I think, was on there as a black box, wasn't it?
That's
The
why I was
original
reading-
Mario Brothers.
Yes.
I think that's a
Yep.
black box game too, right?
Yeah, we're talking about the arcade Mario Brothers, right? We're talking about the
Right,
one.
that's the one I'm talking about, not Super Mario
Yeah.
Brothers.
Right.
Yeah.
Super Mario Brothers was the main one that started to really popularize the series.
Correct.
But Mario Brothers was the very first one in the arcade. And it's
Mario
kinda
Brothers
rough to
was the
play.
obvious evolution of games like Donkey Kong, and that was it. So
Well, that like Popeye. It was.
Yeah.
I liked. I
It was,
liked. Mario
yeah,
Brothers.
originally Donkey Kong I think was supposed to be Popeye, and then they couldn't get the license for Popeye, so they altered it to where it was Jumpman and Donkey
Yes.
Kong. Because originally it was supposed to be Popeye going up to save Olive Oil and I forget, is it Biff? What's the
Pluto.
guy's name?
Pluto.
Pluto. Throwing the barrels at him and stuff like that.
And Jim, his question about Kid Icarus in the chat, he did the Kid Icarus Uprising, which was amazing because he took everything that was awesome and addictive about Smash Brothers and then put it into that game. But the original Kid Icarus, the Silver Blocks game on the NES, I believe, was just RD&D 1. But yeah, someone else can pronounce that. So yeah, he was also
Sakurai.
Kirby, but that was 2 different dudes.
Yeah, Kirby's another one of those weird franchises that I didn't find out until like way later. And oddly, it goes, those games range anywhere from being like stupid easy to being shockingly hard for what they are.
There's some hidden
Weird.
teeth in there. on some of those games.
Yeah, some of them just aren't that hard at all, and then some of them really kind of will like really wail on you. And I'm like, this is weird. That's all serious is weird.
And
But I came back
Stampede,
with-
I did read your question. That does sound like a good deal. I hope you pulled the trigger on that.
Which one was it? I'm sorry, I'm losing track of chat here.
Buster,
Mega Man 3 is not better than Metroid. Sorry, saw that one. Had to put that up there. What was the comment I missed?
the big long one about how he Buster's hidden
treasure.
There you go. You got a screaming deal.
See,
I can't find it. I'm losing track of chat.
I see
Sorry.
it.
That's right.
I can read it off if you want.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
All right. It says, "Hey, Mr. Matthews, I found Buster's hidden treasure. It was complete in box, and the guy wanted it first. Wanted $60 for it. I told him I just wanted the cart, so he said it's $59 just for the cart."
Your Stampede Gaming impression was spot on, by the way.
I had to turn on my radio voice for that one.
You need to go to one of the Stampede streams to see just how off that was and how funny that is. So I don't have a whole lot else to go on tonight. I for or against compilations, I'd say I'm more for them than against them because it's at least one way of being able to play these things, and a new way for for newer gamers to kind of get a feel for those, either through their parents buying it or hold on a second.
Bless you.
Bless you.
I muted the wrong mic. Dang it. I was trying to catch the mic. For at least newer gamers, at least see your experiences, even if it's their parents booting them up and going, hey, here's the crap I had to play when I was younger, and then booting up like an Atari collection or something. The kid going, what the fuck is this? It's at least exposure. You know?
I'm all for it. I think that they're for the convenience alone of being able to put in one cartridge or one disc, and obviously these are kind of moot points now that we actually are predominantly digital gaming. But yeah, I love them paying all these franchises forward generation after generation. So you never really have an excuse to forget about them. Like Mega Man has been in circulation pretty much ever since, in some form, ever since it came out. Like Mega Man 7 on the Super Nintendo, and then they were starting to release compilations and stuff of the older games, starting with the PS1 and PS2. So it's like they just have not really stopped, and I think all video game developers need to be like that. So I keep it forward, as long as, like, as the point as I brought up earlier, as long as they're actually porting the original game. I do have problems with them making subtle changes here and there, and perfecting it in incremental steps with each port. I think that's a little iffy. I don't think they should do the Star Wars version.
I don't know.
So
I think another thing that I'd like to see them do is a little bit more focused compilations. These ones where they just throw everything at the wall. Those are great, but I like to see the more focused ones because it tells me that maybe if this one sells well, like saying the Mega Man collections and stuff like that, maybe that'll lead to development to new titles. Or
like, okay, here's
entries.
Compilations would you like to see that aren't available?
I'm trying to think right now because they've done a Castlevania one. They've done Contra. Ninja Gaiden would be cool to see.
Oh,
I think that would be a really cool
That-
one.
that might be.
Adventures
might
of
be a tough-
Lolo. I think would be great to see revisited. From HAL.
Or how about just a HAL compilation where they a HAL Labs, because there's a ton of games that HAL did that just have not carried over. Like the Lolo series was big on the Nintendo. That was it.
And that was it. And then it completely
Right.
disappeared. And it's a great series. So those are just kind of like a few that I can think of off the top of my head. Kid Icarus, having like the 3DS version and the NES version. I would like to
There's
see
the
them
Game
feel
Boy
something
version
out
too.
like that. That's right. There was a Game Boy one, so you could throw a compilation like that out there and see if that sticks for people to be able to bring those back. A Kirby collection wouldn't go amiss because there's a ton of those.
And they did have a Kirby collection for the Wii for Kirby's anniversary. I think of their 25th anniversry. I think.
I'm talking about a good one, Pace. I've heard nothing but horror stories about this one.
But I think it was incomplete.
I'd like to see a compilation of older computer games.
Yeah,
like nobody's ever done like an Atari or a Commodore 64 compilation, right? I mean, yes, there was a C64 Mini, but
Well, there's also Sierra and stuff like that too.
Yeah, but I mean, there were some neat like computer games that I don't think people have ever seen, like Racing Destruction Set and stuff like that people would love to see from back then. I don't know. Some of the PC stuff, so there is some of that, like Doom got ported, and I think it's done through emulation, ported to the Xbox through Game Pass. So like all the Doom 1, Doom 2, Doom 64 got a port.
Dude, Doom 64 runs really good on Steam. I've run it a couple times. It runs really good.
It plays pretty good on the PS4 also.
Yeah, runs great on the Xbox, and on the Series X, it's all like super smooth.
Yeah, and Atomic Age, I agree with you on this. And especially with stuff like the Steam Deck coming out, which is going to make it so you could just take a lot of your Steam collection and just hook it up to a TV, carry it on the go. I think it's great to be able to get some more stuff like that on Steam. I've been tempted to go back and pick up a couple of collections, just so not only do I have them on my PC if I want to play them there as opposed to playing on a Pi, I can also put them on like the Steam collection, take them over to a friend's house, or just play them on the go or whatnot. Even though the Steam Deck's a little chunky, I've seen pictures of it next to like a Switch, and it's got a good couple of inches on the Switch. So it's a big chunky boy. It is not a small handheld. And I knew it was going to be when it came out. I knew that. I was surprised that more people were shocked when they saw the size of it.
Well, I mean, people had to look at the website and see people holding it like this. I mean,
I know.
It's, basically it is this long.
Hi, Muzzin.
So, see, Atomic Age. See, he knows the Racing Destruction Set. That is, I used to make every track with lots of jumps and moon gravity. So, I think that's all I had in my compilations too. But I'm for these, and obviously because I own. So hey, Brosip, obviously I own a ton of these. So especially, and I think my favorites are the Midway ones because I loved so much of the Midway arcade stuff, and it's the only way, short of MAME, that you can really play arcade games of that quality.
Hey Jen, you laugh, but I'm tempted to buy both of those. Yeah, and I see a lot of people doing that. Like I have my expectations for the Steam Deck, so whenever I can get my hands on one, I expect it to be a pretty reasonable review of the product. Because I'm coming at it from a PC gamer that wants a companion piece to my PC to take some of my games maybe over to a friend's house and plug it in and play, or to. I doubt I'd use it in a portable manner. I would use it to show things off on, say, a TV in another room, or to take to a friend's house and plug in that way. Not necessarily to sit on the bus with something that's, basically the size of a keyboard trying to play a game. I don't think I'll use it that way. That's not really in the cards for me, even though it is portable that way, then that's great. I just don't see myself using it the same way I would use, like, say, an Evercade. Right, it's just it's too big. Like this is about the right size for a handheld, in my mind. When even the Switch is a little big for a handheld for me, personally. I don't want anything quite that big. It was kind of like using the Wii U tablet as a controller. I did that, but I never really liked it. It felt too big and too awkward. Even though some of the games worked really well with it, like really, really well.
I mean, even adding my Razer Kishi to my phone. I mean, this in and of itself, my my Galaxy Note is a big phone as it is. So adding, believe it or not, adding the Razer Kishi adds another. It is probably 3/4 of the size of a Steam Deck once the controller's on it. So yeah, I mean, it's hard unless you have an Evercade. That is a hard. It's hard to get that in a small package.
Yeah, handhelds have gotten big lately, at least as they're understood now, right? Because the Switch came out, and everybody went, "Oh, well, I can make something that beats the Switch," and that's what she said. The Switch came out, right? Went, "Oh, well, we don't have to stick to that kind of form factor anymore. I can make something that beats that." Because what was it? Alienware was working on one for like the longest time. That was basically a handheld PC, and the controllers would pop off just like the Switch controllers would, and you could dock them and everything else. And I don't know that they ever came out of that because they may have ended up in litigation with Nintendo, when Nintendo going, no, that's way too close to our product. And yeah, you're right, Atomic. You can get a bunch of like Sega Genesis games in bundles. You can get a bunch of Capcom arcade games. There's like a Capcom arcade where you can buy like games for like $2 a piece and get all their like arcade games and stuff. There's a ton of stuff on there, especially on Steam, that will get you a lot of what you want out of your retro fix on the go. And I think that's great for people that want that solution. I still think there's a place for a lot of these other consoles on the market, and they have a good reason to exist. But I think the Steam Deck's going to be a fun product. I really do. I've been avoiding looking at reviews on it because I just kind of want to get it into my hands and see how it turns out. But we'll see. Anyway, I don't have too much else going on tonight. I was going to spend a little bit of time with my wife before we pass out for the evening. I feel like the conversation mostly died, except for me when I started talking Steam Deck.
No, I mean, we accomplished what I was hoping we would. We talked about compilations.
Did 2 hours?
We did do that.
We did.
We did the thing.
We did the thing.
Did the thing. Did another thing.
I came out only partially bloodied this time.
I feel like they need to take a few more hits on you before we end for the evening.
I feel like you need to stop the stream.
I don't want to stop this cycle. It's a really funny cycle.
By the way, so I do want to point out that if anybody is looking for a lot of our content, Nick, me, those of us in the Gamers United Guild, we have launched a website.
Yeah, I turned around and somebody said, "Hey, did you know we had a website?" I went, "We have a website?" They're like, "Yeah, all your stuff's on there." I'm like, "Interesting. Nobody told me." But okay.
Well, because you found out right after I found out, and I founded the GUG. So no, we had a bunch of people who got behind the scenes and said, we need a place to collate all this stuff. And unbeknownst to me, they created a website. And it's really beautiful. So if you are interested in Nick's content and my content and other Gamers United Guild content, gamersunitedguild.com. It's great. It's a great place. We need to figure out how to get Rob into the guild. Rob's got some awesome content.
Gotta invite the man.
Odd puzzle piece.
I do. I gotta work on this. We're expanding in 2022.
I have mentioned him multiple times to you, sir. I can't help it that you're slow on the uptake.
Dread, you really didn't know before me. I'm just teasing. I knew a couple weeks ago. So they weren't ready with it yet. So.
Oh, that's right. The Atari Centipede and Black Widow, those recharge ones are free on the Epic Store for a couple days.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I remember seeing something like that. I just hadn't grabbed them.
Rob is coming to the NDR Guild.
It's true. I did NDR Little Mermaid recently, so I'm very excited about that.
Nice. So.
I heard that game's like, I've seen that game played a couple times. It starts out all sweet and innocent, and then it kind of gets a little dickish.
Man, this Naked HD is not giving it up.
He is not.
No.
Well, actually,
No.
technically, he is because every one of those is about giving it up. But still,
Online strips without clothing.
Okay, but if you're without clothing, you can't strip.
Yeah, that's that.
You've already
What are you
stripped.
stripping off?
Right.
You
My
don't wanna
face.
know.
The big leaf.
Don't want to know. This is going to become like some next level Hellraiser stuff here.
That's right.
All right, guys, we're going to call
All
it
right.
time of death at 10:30. We have been streaming for almost 2 hours.
12:30 here.
Everybody have a great rest of your week. Thank you very much for joining us and hanging out with us for a couple hours tonight. I will be live again tomorrow doing some more Mega Man 4, X4, and generally beating my head into the pavement until the game gives up. That's about all I could do with that game. And then hopefully sometime this week, I think maybe kind of, sort of, I don't know, I'm going to try to get an upload out. It will likely be that Prime figure if I get anything out, and then I'm going to start working on more Evercade stuff because I'm
Please do
behind
the
on
Prime video
everything.
first.
So I want to do more Evercade stuff, but I promised myself I would get out that Prime and I would mess with that first, and I would do that one first. And then I'm probably going to start trying to semi-regularly bring back Nick's Collectibles on a more regular basis. I need to film like a couple of them and maybe make it bi-weekly or monthly thing. I don't know. I can't do one of those each week because it takes a lot more effort to film toys than it does to do anything else that I do, almost. Because there's a lot more setup, there's a lot more breaking it down, there's a lot more random footage that I have to take and retake and stuff like that, as I don't like it because it didn't come out the way I want. Whereas when I go and I just do video editing on like game history and stuff like that, while it takes a while to write up and edit, I spend less time moving around my house trying to get things set up just to be able to film it, make it not look like trash. So less frustrating. So anyway, that's all I got. Rob, what you got this week?
My next video about Mega Man X8 will finally be coming out this week.
Yes.
So I'll be putting up the last little finishing touches on it. I'm very slow at producing content, so
Yeah, but you grow faster than I do. There's that. Aren't you at like 6:30 or 6:40 now or something stupid like
no,
that?
I'm still at 610.
Are you? Okay. I thought you'd grown more than
609
that.
ish. I've been bouncing back and forth between 605 and 610.
That's okay. For a while, I was going anywhere between like 580 and 585, and then back to 580. It's random. Mike, what you got? We know NLG on Thursdays, every Thursday.
Thursday night, 9 p.m. You guys don't know him because it's a different kind of group circle, but we have a great guest on Thursday night. His name is Gaz. He's from Gaz on Daily. It's a pretty Xbox centric show. Gaz is a character, and I'm looking forward to having him. I've been friends with him for a bit, and he's agreed to come on, even though he's on the other side of the world. He is staying up to be on with us, so it's going to be really fun. Friday night is Friday night with Peter and Mike. We'll figure out what co-op stream we're doing that night. It's either going to be finally some Gran Turismo 7, or I might talk him into some Ghost of Tsushima Legends, because that's co-op.
Ghost of Tsushima is amazing.
That's
a phenomenal game.
That is a great game. I played that all the way through. I platinumed it, and I played it in Kurosawa mode, black and white, with subtitles. I had to play it correct. So all right. So he's HTK is saying GT7. So I guess we're playing GT7. Ghost of Tsushima.
As much as I enjoyed Horizon Zero Dawn, I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima with a buddy of mine. We're just kind of handing the controller back and forth. And Ghost of Tsushima is like, if you liked Horizon Zero Dawn, Ghost of Tsushima is like that times 10. It's just that much better of a game, and that's not taking anything away from Horizon. Horizon's a great game. Just Ghost is that much better.
It's a samurai movie in a game, and it's beautiful.
And even some of the boss fights, we ran into our first like legendary technique boss fight. And dude, it looked and felt like we were playing a movie. I'm like, this is
I'll
amazing.
never take it back, Stampede.
Do what?
That's my position.
He said 10% Contra is easier than Super C.
So, also, I have another Saturn stream coming at some point where I'm gonna. There were some games that I was playing, some lesser known games that I had to clean the lens on my Saturn because they weren't launching, and now they work again. So I've got to catch up with some stuff that I hadn't played in a while, like Full Destruction and or Total Destruction, and there was one other game that I wanted to play that didn't work, and I'm going to go back and play it again. So we'll do another Saturn stream maybe over the weekend.
I found this weird eating pace. Maybe it's just because you grew up on it and you're familiar with it. But that is, for 99% of the population, that is not an easy game. But I would agree that it's actually pretty well balanced. The more I've played retro games, the more I've realized that Contra is actually really well balanced. It's just very tightly balanced, and if you don't find the rhythm for it, it's a pain in the ass. Whereas other games, you can put the same amount of time, and I get nearly as far because there's just it's just not balanced quite as well, right? And it becomes much more of a slog.
See, I'm with Paste. I would like basically echo what he said, but I would also echo the second thing he said, that I've also been playing it for so long, so I don't really know if it's easy for me because I've just been playing it since I was 8. So, I put a lot of time in a lot of other games, and I still think Contra is easier than those. So I don't know. I think a lot of the hours I put in as an 8-year-old, they don't count. You're not really getting good.
That's your training, young Padawan.
Yeah, just like
I mean, that's you
you're learning how to
on the
hold the
game
controller at that point,
right?
So.
Right, and I feel the same way. Like I go back and I play a lot of these harder games, and they're still really hard. But I'm like initially grasping what I need to do much better now than I did then, right? And it just feels like it goes a little bit smoother, which I know is not saying much.
Kiss it, Paste.
But never stop playing. I think it roughs on me right now. I think Paste just like sleeps. I think he sleeps with the card.
He's got it under his pillow.
He like holds it. It's like his whoopee. He's like, he goes to sleep with the Contra card.
My precious.
Compare a game like Ninja Gaiden to Ghost and Goblins. Ninja Gaiden is much tighter and less random. Absolutely agreed.
That's totally true.
Yep. And there's a lot of underappreciated hard games on the NES that nobody ever talks about. That's true as well. I think they're just trying to keep us streaming right now.
Okay. All right, guys.
All right, guys. We're gonna call it. Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
We love you guys. We will see you guys not next week, but the week after. It's every other week show. Much to the limitations of our audience.
Well, they can always come over. I do a retro stream every other Monday. They can come over and hang out. I'll keep them occupied.
Carla, dang, we got busted.
All of us hang out on everyone's stream all week long, though. So,
yeah. All right, guys, have a great night.
Night, everyone.
Thank you so much for hanging out.
It was awesome. Play on, gamers.
See you.